Hello, and welcome to what I guess is Kevin Steve's indie publishing adventure again, because we're back and it looks like it's going to be a weekly thing again.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So should we introduce it properly this week? I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And there you go, we're doing a weekly writing podcast
We
again.
are.
Although it's still taking the story meeting format that we
I think that's
so very much
what we
last
need.
week.
It's weird because I've been saying to you for a while that until Christmas I was really in a flow of writing, and I wrote every single day without fail. Even on Boxing Day, I remember sat there at my mum and dad's writing away. I'd written on Christmas Day. I wrote right up to New Year's, and then suddenly I just stopped.
Because we stopped doing IPA on the 2nd of January.
Yeah, so I have been writing this year. I wrote a relationship guide that I sent to you the other day to proofread. No,
it took so long to send it to me. I was all sat and ready to read it on Sunday afternoon, but then by the time I actually had the file, it was Sunday night, so I haven't read it yet. But I'm interested to learn about relationships.
See, I'm really nervous about this because it is kind of a it's not trying to be serious, but it's trying to be a helpful book to people who have absolutely no idea about being in a relationship and things like that. I'm aiming it at some people I've known over the years, friends who've just had real bad trouble kind of meeting someone. I've got, about 4 or 5 specific friends. No, like specific friends who just, I've known them for 10 plus years, 20 years in some cases, and they have never had like a partner or anything remotely close to that. And
are they hideous wolfmen?
No, they're not. They're normal people. Some are better looking than I am, but they're just
that's really not difficult.
But that's part of my point in the book, that it's not hard to compare me to Peter Griffin, Shrek, Homer Simpson, Fred Flintstone,
Baby off of Dinosaurs,
and yet I'm happily married with 2 kids, and my wife is way out of my league. And I'm not bragging.
Is she happily married? That's the important question.
I asked her this when I was writing it. I actually asked her a few questions. Like, I'm not just, deluded, am I? Read through this and check I'm not just talking nonsense and you're actually packing while I write it. But no, she assures me she's happily married. She does like me, oddly. And so it's not a book about me bragging about how awesome I am. It's basically saying, look, not trying to sound like I'm beating myself up, but these guys have way more going for them than they think. And if I can do it, they can. Yet they just keep failing miserably. So I just wrote a book that's not just aimed at them. It's aimed at men, women, whatever they're looking for, other men, other women, whatever. But just telling people to stop making the same continuous mistakes they always make, because that's what my friends are doing. They're never trying new things or being proactive. They're just trying the same thing for 20 years straight and then going, oh, it's not working. So I'm hoping when you read it, you don't think it's a pile of trash. Yeah. If you do, just help me edit it until it's not trash.
Good. I do love doing that as well.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Your phone's locked, and I was about to go through my other plans for the week.
There you go. I'll
keep my finger on it this time. So we talked last week about how I needed to rewrite Left Behind. I've been in a really weird place with it because our most recent reviews have said it's good. And
that one most recent
review. There's been one very recent one, but there has been reviews on Amazon that have said it's good as well. And so we did get one review where someone was outraged that we give the first 2 episodes away for free, but then we charge $6 for the remaining episodes. Do not buy this if you think it's free, because it's not free. Something like that.
It's not even that. Actually, no, I think it is more now, because we've moved them from 99p to $1.99 for each of the subsequent 4 episodes. So it's £8 for the next 4, but you can get the full book for £2. So the actual full season is the same price as any of the individual episodes. And the only reason we have the individual episodes on there is to play with Kindle Unlimited. It's for people who want to read them episode by episode, and they're effectively getting them for free anyway.
We need to probably respond to that. I know you're not really supposed to respond to negative reviews, but letting that person know they can have the whole thing for £2 or everything for free. I
would like to think
most people would know that.
Yeah, the sort of reader we're aiming at is smart enough to figure that out for themselves. I think if we have to explain to them how money works, then let them moan.
That is the only negative we've had, and that person read through book 1 and 2 before going, oh my God, I have to pay for it. And they liked it enough to read 2 books, but not enough to pay any money for it. So, hopefully they're beavering away trying to pirate it or something. Just because
I'd love to see one of our books pirated. If you're a pirate one of our books just once, and then take it down once someone.
And then give us some money for pirating it.
But I'd love to see it. It would make my day to know we'd reached that level where we were being pirated now.
So I sat there for quite some time. I had some ideas in my head of how I was going to get rid of some of the bits that bothered us about the first book. I tried to write this as realistic as I could, bearing in mind it's a zombie apocalypse. So the big kind of issue I had was, straight off the bat, we have our characters fleeing away from danger, which is realistic, but when they come back, they end up going to a school and cutting an arm off, and it just...
yeah, really realistic.
So what I've kind of gone with now, so Harry is going to be the main character. Before, it kind of shifted between perspectives throughout the story, depending on what we wanted to write, really. There was no real...
It was our way of cheating. So because we didn't yet have the writing chops to be able to tell a proper story from different... that happened in different places to different people, but all from one perspective, it was hard. So we took the easy way out and did 4 different perspectives, but they were 4 people who, for most of the book, were all in the same place, so it didn't really need to be that way. And it's because we couldn't figure out how to do stuff like giving other people's opinions without either getting inside their head or having I'm currently feeling like this, Harry. How are you feeling, Harry? Yeah.
Or Kev looked angry. It doesn't mean he was, but he looked it because it fit the narrative. So Harry has been rewritten. He's not a teacher anymore. He's an unemployed ex-teacher.
Ooh.
Drastic. Still married to Poppy in it. Poppy Cox is still going to be a name in our show.
Ever.
He's basically self-loathing, hates himself, hates life, very depressed, in a rut. He's doing Poppy's head in because he's not really trying to do anything. He's going to interviews, but he's not really doing anything. He's not getting them. And let's face it, getting a teaching job is pretty easy, judging by some of the people we've worked with. So basically, he's not trying. He's given up. He's just wallowing around. The most exciting thing happening to him is he's going to Alfie's house to play the board games he plays, to get drunk and schmooch off his friend, and then go home and frustrate his wife by waking her up and being annoying. He wants to overcome that. He does want to be better. He doesn't want to be depressed, doesn't want to hate himself. He kind of just... He thinks it's everyone else's fault. It's not his own fault. He just wants to sort himself out. So what the aim of the book is, from my point of view, is once the zombie apocalypse kicks off, he's going to decide the only way he can generally get over all that is to be a survivor, to be one of the people. So when you're watching Walking Dead or whatever, you're thinking, oh, I'd be one of the gang in Rick's crew, and I'd be badass and I'd survive. But chances are most of us are probably going to be the sort of people who die in the pharmacy or whatever. You'd probably die in your own bed, too lazy to get up.
I'd be the governor.
Cool. Yeah. Well, but that's it. I mean,
I'd go evil immediately. I wouldn't even wait to verify they really were zombies. I'm just going rogue.
That's something I can cover in this. You're giving me a little bit of an idea that he wants to be a good survivor who's considered like, he's done well. He's not been one of the idiots. He's not made any mistakes. He's managed to lead people, become respected and a pillar of the community, and generally be, even though he's there right at the beginning, he wants to be one of the people who sees it through and sort of, takes himself out of his bad life and makes... I think the phrase I used, if I've got it around, is creating hope and a positive, strong and proven outlook in a life of hopeless apocalyptic catastrophe.
That could be the tagline for either of the 2 books you've talked about on this show so far.
It could, yeah. So generally, he's one of the few people in the world who's trying to put a positive spin on the zombie apocalypse. So antagonists, his own mind because he's an idiot and he's depressed. Zombies, obviously. Taking a twist away from Furwinkle and cutting an arm off in a school. The authorities, the police, and possibly the army. I've kind of toyed with this in there. And then other survivors. And I think I mentioned to you last week that I wanted to look at a character that was in the book originally, Arthur. Instead of him being just an old guy who comes along and he's part of the group, I want him to be kind of the respected grown-up of the group who has experience in like sticky situations and makes the right choices and Harry's going to resent him for that because obviously he wants to be the one who's respected and loved and looked up to. But generally, as we go through it, you'll see that his decisions often aren't the best choice, or people don't really think that they're the best choice, and that's going to wind him up. So, anything else I've missed out there in the setting it up? Or do you think
that sounds about right.
You happy with that so far?
Let's have some beats.
Yeah. So
let's beat it out.
Opening scene. The conversation is going to be around Alfie, his uncaring outlook, just telling Harry that maybe he should just try being happy and cheering up, and just don't be depressed, cheer up, something like some sort of Kev advice.
Where did you get an exchange like that from?
Have you ever considered just manning up? Was the phrase I was going to go with, but then I thought manning up was probably a bit too sexist. I don't know. What I wanted to say is just basically unhelpful advice. If you look for any kind of things not to say to someone with lots of depression, that's the sort of advice he's going to be giving.
Quit being miserable and sort yourself out.
Yeah. So they're going to have a bit of a back and forth about that because Alfie's in an equally bad situation. He's still got a job, but he's kind of a mess. And I've not really written out a beat for him, but in my head, he's a mess. He's broken up with his partner, but it's been like 6 months. He's living in filth. He's only ever seeing Harry and their other friend Charlie, and he should be as bad as Harry is, but he's kind of distracting himself with, I don't know, playing poker online all the time.
Again, where did you get the inspiration for this character from?
Drinking heavily, which isn't really with you. And I'm toying with him being a druggie, but I'm not sure how it would play out. Charlie is going to be considering himself the most settled and happy and positive one of the group because he's got his crummy minimum wage job in a video shop. He doesn't ever leave his work uniform, same as he kind of is in the book, but the joke kind of twist on it here is that he sees himself as their sort of role model because he's happy, he's content in life. They should be more like him because he doesn't feel depressed. No, he hasn't been dumped. He's not even got a girlfriend, but he hasn't been dumped.
Can't get dumped if you don't have a girlfriend.
So he's equally as messy as they are, but he doesn't see it that way. He's quite happy and content in his life of crappiness until he goes out to get a beer and gets his arm ripped off by a zombie. Well, not his arm ripped off. He gets hurt by a zombie. It's not that drastic. So they hear the noise. That basically, while he's out there, Harry and Alfie continue to have their conversations about sorting their lives out. I want Harry to be saying something about how he just wants to be like a boss or a manager or something. Like he doesn't want to go through the hassle of starting a new job and working his way up the ranks. He just wants to go in as the person at the top, and he can't be asked with the rest. So that's going to basically hint towards later on him trying to become the leader. Zombie attack, same as before kind of thing. They leave him because they're cowards. They still go back and visit Poppy because I just think it makes sense for them to be running home and then her telling them to get lost because they are cowards. They don't know what to do. It's to just proving the point that they're completely worthless people. They're really, really bad. When they go back home after the kind of the faff of Poppy, which I'm glazing over a little bit because they generally just talk to her. She's disinterested. Mugs them off, sends them home. Harry convinces him they have to go back. He's trying to show that he sees it's an opportunity to be a hero. I'm going to go back and save him. Alfie doesn't really want to. He can't be bothered. He doesn't want to put himself in danger. Harry realises he's got to help his friend, got to go back and look after him. When he gets back, Charlie has killed the zombie and he's been hurt. Now, originally, this is where they go a bit mad. And I mean, I've gone through the same process of they get rid of the body because they're panicking. They nip next door from following on the steps of that, so they still want to go check out whether there's any evidence next door of what's going on. But this time, instead of fleeing off to the school and hiding in there, somebody's going to call the police because they've just broken into their neighbour's house. They've seen them starting a fire in the garden. All is not right. So they try and leave, drunk, bit mad. Charlie's injured in the back, and obviously then the police come and they're after him. There's a bit of a police chase ensues. While that's happening, police have gone back to the house next door to see what's going on. Obviously, there's a zombie in there. They get attacked. Things are starting to heat up because it's spreading a bit. Charlie's in the back of their car. They get pulled over finally after a bit of a chase, taken to the police station. I enjoyed thinking about our little thing where the police offer him money for phone calls each. Harry just kind of nicks all three people's money, makes a little phone call, pocketing £1 for himself to buy a drink with. So he's there swigging his drink, making a phone call, while Alfie's in the cell with a slowly turning into a zombie Charlie. He keeps calling for help because he thinks his friend's dying. They think he's just trying to get, attention, trying to get out of the cell. Harry's on the phone to Poppy trying to explain to her that he's been arrested. She thinks they're just drunk and they're being idiots. He's talking about zombies. She's just telling him to leave her alone, really fobbing him off. But it's a chance for things to heat up in the background while he's on the phone to Poppy. When the police said, actually, time for your phone call, get off the phone, come back, Charlie's going to be on the floor. They're going to think he's just trying to, trick them. They get in close. Obviously, he's turned. Police officer gets hurt. Alfie and Harry tried to flee, but what I kind of thought was that the police aren't just going to let them out of the cell. It was like, off you go. So what I kind of thought was they're panicking. They're basically, they'll lock that cell, but they're still stuck in that room. They'll be able to pull the gate too, but they'll be the only people in there trying to call for help, and everyone just assumes they're playing up because everyone shouts in the cell. It's going to be noisy. There's going to be people kicking off. So now the guard's injured. Charlie and the guard are both... Well, the guard is injured, but not a zombie yet. Charlie's attacking him, but they'll both eventually, I guess, turn. There's a point where I kind of get it to... where are we? The two officers have been attacked, radio in, saying they've been attacked. They've been taken to the Medi Bay in the police station. I can't say my words. So they're both in, the two guys who've been bitten are in there. They've tried to arrest Dick, but he's got away, the zombie. There's a police officer and Charlie are both bitten or a zombie in the police station. And then all things start to kick off and they have to evacuate the police station. So Alfie and Harry are kind of evacuated with a load of convicts. The police are outside. They see it's an opportunity to kind of get away. Manage to get a phone call out to Poppy, who has started to see things on the news about attacks and deaths and murders, and she genuinely believes that Harry and Alfie have somehow murdered somebody. And they try and reassure her that Charlie was actually the one who murdered them, and they were just there. But that doesn't really help. So she picks them up away from the house because they think the police are going to try and find them, but they're not actually looking for them. They're too busy dealing with the fact there's zombies spreading throughout the town and people are being attacked. The police are everywhere, getting phone calls about the fact that people are barged into their house and bitten them, or there's people wandering around the streets or in their gardens or whatever. Just the general kind of thing you'd expect when there's just zombies wandering the streets of the town. They decide they want to try and hide out somewhere because they don't want to go home. But when they kind of they sort of set out to do that, the roads start being blocked off because there is just carnage everywhere. They can see a police car being overrun. Things are kicking off, so they have to try and just find somewhere to disappear to. I then tried to do the book thing that we weren't very good at before, and I wasn't very good at. I sat there for a bit thinking, well, what happens next? They've just realised they can't go anywhere, and then they're going to go and hide. And then I would have tried to write every step of that hiding, and they took a breath and they had a drink. So I've just skipped to the next morning then, that they've hidden out. They think that the police were just kind of dealing with it and it should all be fine. And I might even make some witty comment about, I'm sure it's all blown over. And then when they look out there...
Where are they hidden out?
I'd put a place because I wasn't sure. Well, I was going to go.
Why can't they just go back to Harry's house?
Because Harry is still under the kind of illusion that they're gonna, if they go home, they'll just be found again because they've escaped from the police. They can't go to Alfie's because of the same sort of reason, and also there's zombies. But I thought about having them go to Charlie's video shop.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah. It's the obvious place to go. For whatever reason, Charlie's jacket's in the car. They've got the keys. They can go and hide out there.
Exactly. So it's not. It fits nicely. Gives them a chance to just hide out.
They could even sit in there and watch a zombie movie.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, just watch a film and then go to sleep. So what I kind of said then, I needed some sort of drive for the fact that they need to move somewhere, but they can't just sit about. So I don't know, maybe they see on the news that things have kicked off quite badly. But then I put in here that obviously Harry's depressed, so I assumed he's probably on some medication for it. And if you don't take that straight away, you're going to start feeling a bit weird in the morning. Anyone on tablets is going to vouch for that. I assume you're the same. If you don't take your tablets, you feel a bit weird. But I didn't want to be too like, oh, that's a coincidence. So I said he's got some backups on him, but he still needs to go and sort them out. So I don't know. He gets them out of his wallet. Takes.
Well, it's your plan. You've always said if the apocalypse kicks off,
got to get to a pharmacy.
You've got to get to a pharmacy, even if you've got 3 months' supply. You never know when you're going to be able to go to a pharmacy again. The world's ended. Let's go and get 10 years' supply.
So yeah, their big plan to start off with is just, let's go get some bits together, because if this is all going down, he hasn't got any. He can't go home as far as he's aware, so he needs to go and get some tablets. So their start off plan is to head off across there and do that. Along the way, they'll come across another group who've kind of thought similar things. So this is where I brought Arthur in. He needs his blood pressure tablets because he's a bit old. So they do that. They plan together. They fight through some zombies. They get the tablets they need. I'm not going to go into great detail there because it's just a general, they need to get them sorted. It's just going to have a bit of drama in
As you're talking about this, you remember we went to that shopping centre in Birmingham and said this is a great place for a zombie apocalypse. I'm thinking that's where the video shop is, and they've just got to get the other side of the car park.
Yeah, it makes
zombies
sense.
Everywhere.
Zombies.
It's just a shopping precinct, so they've got to get from one side to the other side. That's where they run into Arthur. Boom.
Yeah, because then it sounds less unreasonable for them to, right, let's go 5 miles across town if it's there.
Boots is the other side of the car park, but there's zombies there, so they've got to get the boots.
That makes sense to me. So once they've kind of formed a bit of a gang, they're going to say, well, we need somewhere to camp out. Now, I thought this is an opportunity for them to decide where they're going to be setting up a community or whatever. And this is an opportunity to tie it back in towards some of the bits we have written already that were good. So what I decided was there's going to be a bit of a confrontation where this is where Arthur becomes a bit of an antagonist because he's going to suggest the school, but Harry's going to suggest that's a stupid idea, that there's no point living in a school, that would be completely pointless, and he wants to go to the supermarket in town. So he's really going to think that's the idea, it's full of food, it's full of supplies, there'll be kings there, they can just live like, just running up and down the aisles, eating whatever they want and have a party. But Arthur's going to point out that the school's going to have food supplies, it's going to have all the equipment that they need, all the stuff.
Far less people, probably, because everyone's going to test.
No one's going to have thought of it. The idea is that
not everyone's going to have the key card Alfie's got.
Exactly. But the suggestion is that, Arthur's logic is that everyone's going to head there. If 5 of them get bitten, then they're all going to die because they're all going to panic, and then zombies are just going to pick them all off, and that's that. Whereas no one's going to the school unless you've said they've got a key, and it's just a decent place to live because it's got all the technology you could possibly need. So Harry's going to try and put it to a vote and expect Poppy and Alfie and some of the others to back him up, but none of them do. It's all of them versus him, so he goes along thinking, he hates Arthur because he's just ruined his opportunity to be a hero. So when they get there, they are setting up, but there isn't enough food. There's not as much food as they thought. So Harry tries to be, proving a point and smug. So instead of our lull that we had before, where people just come in and dish out plates and generally just start, where
find
again,
wine inexplicably.
Yeah, where I basically tried to fill in every moment of the week that happened, because I wanted to have this long drawn out bit where they had a community worth saving, and then it all went wrong. But the problem with that is, in a TV show, that's probably okay, because you can have an episode or two away from that and have everything going on in the background. But in a book, you kind of got to either sit there and drag people through the...
Yeah, nothing people like more in a book than a long, drawn-out bit.
Exactly, where people just go to bed and get up every day and have a couple of dramas. So instead of that, Harry tries to prove a point by going to Tesco's with a couple of the guys to pick up some food, because they're out of, they've not got as much as they need, and they just think if we get some now before it's, too many people are there, if they're quick, they nip in the back way, they try and be clever. Maybe it won't be Tesco's, maybe it'll be another shop, but the idea is they're going to go out on a bit of a supply run. Sadly, Arthur's right, it's going to be, murder trying to get through there. They're going to lose a couple of people. They are forced back to the school in a hurry when they realise they're not equipped for it. They've tried to take a couple of bits from school, probably like hockey sticks and whatnot, but generally speaking, they just weren't ready for it. But when they get back to the school, they've forgotten as well that the school's obviously going to be locked up to keep everyone inside safe, and they've not got any way of contacting them to say, we're outside, let us in, because Poppy's not going to answer a phone. I can't decide whether everything's going to have gone down, because part of me thinks, would they just shut everything down straight away?
Well, even if it's not that, if you ever tried to use a mobile phone at a music festival or a big football match, when we were at Wembley the other year, you couldn't use your mobile phone because at full time, everyone's using a mobile phone. So if you get a whole town all trying to ring their relatives, you're not going to get a signal necessarily.
So for whatever reason, they can't tell the guys in the school that they're outside, and they're in a hurry because while running, they've still led zombies back on them. So my big plan there was that they have to try and force their way in. They do go in, but they've not like brought down an entire fence. They've just found a way in, and they think they're going to sort it out. Obviously, when they get in, Arthur's a bit angry that they've lost people, they've risked their lives over nothing, and they've made a hole in the fence. But he sets about trying to fix it. I was going to build up to the kind of thought that oh no, they're going to get through and it's going to ruin it. But then it's not really a massive curveball, but someone in the school's already been bitten and has been hiding it, and they turn. So what ends up happening is they've got our zombies on the inside, and the distraction of that means that Arthur doesn't have time to fix the fence, and they've come through from both sides. So then we carry on with the original kind of ending that we had of them sort of fleeing on the buses, and some people getting away in bus 1, but other people being left behind in bus 2 and 3, dying in those buses, and generally they're out on their own and they're trying to drive off. Part of that ending that I have planned is that, because I want there to be some sort of resolution, is that Arthur's obviously outraged. This is the kind of the big moment where Harry has really, really ruined things, and he's basically just got everyone killed because of his own stupidity, making him the absolute opposite of what he was trying to be, the hero that everyone looked to. But then he helps kind of like Arthur, instead of getting bitten or anything, Arthur will get injured. Like, I don't know, he falls, he tries to protect his daughter or whatever. And Harry will heroically carry him out while everyone else is fleeing.
As you're saying that, I'm sat here thinking, well, Harry just has to save Arthur's life.
Yeah,
it's the obvious thing. That's his redemption. He goes in there, saves Arthur's life. Boom.
So once he saves him, I'm getting all three now. Once he saves him, and he's got him to the safety of the bus, they then obviously say, let's go, let's drive. Harry's kind of realised throughout all of this that the only reason he's in the mess he's in is because of all of his bad decisions. Through the whole sort of last, I don't know, let's say 6 parts of this, it would be that I'm trying to make it clear to him that the reason he's so low and so self-hating and so down is that he's just made bad decision after bad decision. He's gone against everyone else's thoughts on something. He's never gone with the flow. He's always thought he was right and never listened and never thought about it and never been selfless. He's always just thought everyone else is ignoring him or doesn't believe in him or doesn't have faith in him. And it's actually his decisions that have got him where he is and whatnot. It's still a bit of a down ending because they are the only survivors. They're kind of stuck in the bus and everyone's looking to Arthur for help because he's the leader, but he can't give it. So they have to turn to Harry, who doesn't have a clue what to do. But again, just to lay it on and really give him a kind of a step up from his original self, he realises if he's going to make it through it, he has to act like he knows what he's doing and just make a decision. And not be so indecisive or sort of forthright. He just has to say something and make it better. Because I guess he figures out that's what Arthur's been doing all along. Arthur doesn't really know. He's never done a zombie apocalypse. He's just said what seems like the right thing and he's been right. So does that sound better? Any improvement on before?
My tweaks that I'd make, I think that bit in the middle where they just sort of a night passes.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, that setting off alarm bells in my head, and I'm thinking they still go to the video shop or wherever they go. Video shop seems to make sense because they've got a key, so it's not ridiculous. But I would have them settle there for an hour or so, stick a zombie movie on, make some popcorn, stupid stuff while everything's going mental outside, but have Arthur and his group turn up.
Yeah,
and get Arthur in sooner so that you start building that community in the video shop. But
yeah, that makes sense.
They leave the video shop because they have to go and get medication or supplies, whatever they have to go and get. The medication thing, I'm not certain that's the first thing you think of, but it could be something as simple as the water's gone off in the video shop, or there's no electric, so the food's all gone bad. There has to be a reason for them to, because logically, if it's me in that video shop and we're secure and all hell's breaking loose outside, you sit there for 24 hours and wait for the army to turn up.
That's the thing as well. The fact he's got tablets means that, like, he's had one. He's all right for at least a day.
So we have to give them a reason. We want Arthur in earlier, then we need a reason for them to leave that video shop. So either the back door breaks down, but that's a bit too urgent. But something that makes them want to go across the precinct to Boots. So there's no water in there, or the water's gone off, or there's no power, so all the food's spoiled. But then you're still going to have crisps and stuff. You could survive, but I would say the water goes off. They've got nothing.
It could be that. I mean, what I was thinking when you said about Arthur not turning up, it could be that they see them watching the films. They could see something's going on in there, so they come in to save them, but realise they're actually quite safe. Like Arthur's out on a mission to rescue all the little strays that are stuck there. They decide to stay together, but then perhaps one of them, I don't know, has an asthma attack or something that just, I don't know. They don't really need to go to a pharmacy.
Making it about medication. Yeah. I don't know.
I
think there has to be, when you're in the first 12 hours of the zombie apocalypse, it's survival instinct. So survival instinct number one, we're in a safe place, there's food, there's drink, there's no reason to leave. So then we have to give them the reason to leave. So it could be someone makes a run for it. They have a panic attack. I can't handle being in here. We've been here 10 hours. I can't handle this. Open the door, go out the back door or something, and a zombie walks in, and everyone flees out the front door. The next obvious place is the shop across the road. They go there just to get them out and about again.
Okay, I'll have to work on something. Because they need to end up deciding on settling on somewhere like a school and having that confrontation. But they just need something. So perhaps
they regroup in the next shop, and then there's the discussion of, well, going shop to shop is stupid.
Set up a base.
People are going to be raiding these soon, or whatever it is. We need to go and find somewhere more secure, and that's where the discussion between, well, let's go to a big shop, or let's go to the school, or someone's got to suggest, well, why don't we just get in a van and drive far away, get out of town? So you're going to have that discussion, different people having different points of view. But I think the only weak bit in there is that middle, which just seems a little bit. The problem. A little bit. The motivations don't seem right. Their motivation needs to be survive, and the conflict comes from Harry's idea of how to survive is completely different to Arthur's idea of how to survive. Arthur ends up being right, and because of Harry's stupidity, Arthur ends up in mortal danger, and Harry ends up saving his life to redeem himself. That's your resolution. Yeah, Harry's now completed his character arc. Everyone's away on the bus. I'm assuming the main bus that we're going to follow has got Harry, Alfie, Poppy, Arthur, his daughter, the usual folk from last time.
Yeah.
And then
the big plan I had for the next book was that the people they left behind in bus 2 will be the antagonists for book 2.
Sorted. That sounds good to me. I think I expect that to be fully written by this time next week. That's
I've joined this. What's it called? The Coach.me.
Coach.me. It used to be Lyft. If anyone's ever had the Lyft app before.
And it's mad. I have gone straight into it. I started writing a story about a. I've got, I said to you last week, I've got this idea in my head that I want to write. I'm writing about a kid from the Middle East a girl who's trying to flee ISIS and make her way across Europe, the Middle East, Europe, bits of Africa, and then to the UK, where she thinks it's going to be like the dreamland of awesome, because the worst thing we have to worry about is, if everything goes wrong, we'll end up on the dole in a council house until we get back on our feet. So that is like rock bottom here, whereas where she is, rock bottom is dead. And my big tagline for that is something. I was really pleased with it, but it's so wangy. It was something like even awful is a better life if your life is at rock bottom, or something like that. Even an awful life is better than. Yeah.
Stop writing that and write Left Behind.
No, I know, but I've written a big plan for that, which I'll go through at a later date. Because I feel like I've spoken for 32 minutes and 51 seconds. But I'm excited about that being my plan over there for later on. I just had it in me and wanted to get it down. But there's loads of stuff in that I think will be quite cool.
Well, this is my cue to tell you all about the progress I've been making on Stray this week.
Yeah.
I kind of have. It's not.
You strayed from it.
I've strayed from Stray again, yeah. And it's not my fault, Gov. Honest. I got an email earlier in the week. What we've never mentioned on this before is I wrote a non-fiction book earlier in the year, The Lazy Student's Revision Guide, #1 bestseller on Amazon. Huzzah!
It's really impressive.
We're obviously getting through the exam period now, and I had an email from someone who read it just out of the blue, just saying, "Thanks so much for the book. It made a massive difference. It was really, I can't thank you enough. Blah 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 blah. What are you writing next?"
So called Stray.
I replied with, "I'm actually writing a bit of fiction at the moment, but is there anything you'd like me to write about?" And she said, "Well, what I'm really worried about is I'm starting sixth form in September, and I don't have people are telling me it's a massive jump. I don't know what to expect." And I thought, there might be a book in that. So I emailed out to the mailing list, which, I mean, that's our biggest mailing list. It's meant that there's like 600 people on that mailing list. So I emailed out to them, and just without giving them any prompt or anything, I just sent an email that said, "Look, it's hope your exams are all going well. Thanks for supporting with the book. It was a #1 bestseller, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking to write something new. What can I help you with? What are you worried about at the moment? You're coming to the end of your exam. What's next? What's the next thing you'd like to read about?"
Did they say a zombie thriller?
They didn't say a zombie thriller. They also didn't say a post-apocalyptic dystopian young adult thriller. But almost without fault, they all came back with the same thing that this girl had said in her email. They're all panicking about what happens in sixth form, what happens in college, what if I don't get the right results, what do I do then? A couple of them doing their A-levels, what's university like? And we're talking 10, 15 responses, and they all want the same book. So,
are you putting a big headline at the start? Don't take a guitar in.
No,
you should. Help us out, come on.
Well, it depends if you want to be the guitar guy or not, because the guitar guy makes friends quicker than everybody else.
Yeah, but only in the first week, and then
well, then you've been the guitar. Then you've been the guitar. You say that was just my icebreaker. It's gone now. I don't really play acoustic songs and sing.
The college guitar guy gets my bus now and has a full-time job, and he's an adult, and he still sits on the bus with his guitar and takes it to work every day. So,
he's a musician.
No, he sits there strumming away at it, listening to his music.
Nice. But yeah, so I'm writing that book because the Lazy Student's Revision Guide took me 5 days to write. I think it's about 18,000 words, and because it's what I do day in, day out, and that was my focus in school at the time. We were getting revision ready. It just flowed really easy because I was in that space anyway. And my tutor group of sixth formers.
So they know the answer.
I've got loads of year 11 groups. Yeah, so my year 11 groups are worried about this. So I've been talking to them about this for a couple of weeks anyway. My sixth formers know the answer to the question. So I asked them today, and I've got 2,000 words of responses for their tips. So there's going to be tips from them scattered throughout the book. I've made a nice big mind map for all the things that I think are important to know when you're moving from GCSE up to A level. But also, I'm thinking there's 2 books in this because you then got that transition from A level to university as well. And I reckon 2 weeks I could write 2 books, get them both out before the summer holidays. I don't know what to call them, but I've already got this one, which is the GCSE to A-level transition. I've got it planned out already. I've got headings. Like I say, I've got all these quotes from my own students already. And I'm going to canvass the year 13s later in the week to what are you worried about going to university? And
we've call it the Concerned Students Guide, or does that make
No, it'll still be the Lazy Students Guide because that's the brand, that's the website. And I'm thinking longer term, there's going to be podcasts and videos and stuff around on that brand. Just to get the name of the brand out there, because I think it's an awesome name. I can't believe that website was available. But it'll be something like the Lazy Student's Guide to Sixth Form, or Lazy Student's Sixth Form and College Guide. Something like that, just says what it is on the tin. I looked on Amazon, there's nothing like this on there. There's guides to applying for Sixth Form, but there's no...
Get forced into that, don't you?
Yeah, pretty
From my
much.
Experience.
There's guide, and for the university one, there's guides to writing a UCAS statement. There's guides for making a budget, but there's no, look, this is how you get through your first month. And even everyone who emailed me back yesterday, I replied to everybody and answered their questions there and then. So again, from some of these emails were 1,000 words long with the replies. So even across those emails, I've probably got 2,000 or 3,000 words of, this is right, you're going to uni, this is what you need to do in your first week. And so I've got all that stuff. And I now just need to assemble it into a book. When I'm writing non-fiction and it's something I know about, I can knock out 5,000 words a day. So I'm thinking, hopefully by this time next week, I'll be telling you I've got a first draft done on the Lazy Students Sixth Form and College Guide. Next week, Lazy Students University Guide. Get them off to editor Warren, if he's still about, on Elance. So he edited Lazy Students Revision Guide for a bargain price and was a legend because we went through 6 or 7 rounds of revisions and he was superb. So if I can get him on board again at a decent enough price, we could get those books out by, I mean, they really need to be out before people go off on their summer holidays, or at least by results day.
Because that's when they really worry about it.
Yeah, thinking results day, these need to be established in the charts on Amazon so that when they panic and think, oh, I didn't get the results I got, or I got the results I've got to go to college now, they can go onto Amazon, pick this book up for a couple of quid.
Another idea for you, dissertation planning, that's happening now. Well, soon.
That one, I'll stick a pin in that.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend because that
that's 3 weeks.
Yeah,
so
a couple of months ago, my plan for the rest of this year was to churn out Lazy Students Guides because I've got a list of 15 of them that I could write, but I don't want to just write non-fiction. I want to write Stray. I want to rewrite Mature. I've got other stuff in my mind that I want to be writing. But when I've bless them, I've got a mailing list of 600 people, and they're asking for help. I can't. I mean, we've not had that yet. That's going to come for the other lists as well, hopefully. And we'll start getting people saying, look, I need a follow-up to Mature now. Get that written. I need Stray right now. Write it. But at the moment, listening to the readers, they're saying, I want this book that you hadn't even thought of 2 days ago. So I'll write it. And it's
quite nice writing the non-fiction in between, isn't it? I think, because
it's a palate cleanser.
Yeah, and my one, I know I started it a long time ago, but I finished it quite quickly. It's just been sat there with me reading through it and tweaking down again and not daring to send it to you because I was a bit nervous. But now I just don't care. I realised all the advice is just get it out, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So when I've got my outline completely polished off tomorrow, I'll send it to you so you can have a look, see if you've got any tips in there. But once I got started on this mind map yesterday, I mean, this book writes itself, and it is stuff that students don't necessarily get told about. Even silly things like, first thing you do when you go to university, balls to everything else, go out to the student union and make some friends.
Yeah, and be bold about it.
No one gives you that advice, but that's how you get settled in at uni, because if you're a month in and you haven't made any friends yet, you want to go home.
You remind them the first year doesn't count as well.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that when I went to uni both times.
And little things like, you need to start being able to take your own notes. It's not going to get spoon-fed to you anymore. You need to actually pay attention and take your own notes. The amount of my year 12s who've actually really confused me, because they're all coming back with the same thing. Yeah, you actually have to work hard. And I just want to throw it back in their face and say, read your own advice. Work hard, you monsters. But they're all saying, yeah, you can cruise through your GCSEs and you don't have to worry about it. You can just do a bit of revision the night before and you'll be fine. You can't do that at A-level. I wish someone had told me. Well, A, I did.
Yeah.
But B, that's awesome. And that should be written within a week because
they've done it for you.
Yeah, I've got half of it written just from replying to emails and having students give their input on it. So that's
now
nice.
you're trying to get me to give you ideas
Yeah,
as well.
basically, if this whole book can get written just by me assembling my own emails, your comments, and what my students have said, and questions coming in from the mailing list,
then that become like our part-time projects where you do your plans and then I just chip in with a couple of ideas while everyone around you does the same. That could keep us going, couldn't it? Yeah. We need more of that though, not the.
I was off camera there because there was actual money in my hands. But I think that's a lot for this week. I don't think I've got anything else to add. Have you got anything else to add?
Not really. I feel much more on it than I have been. So I definitely think the show is the
on it
missing
like a
link.
carb on it.
Yeah, it's the missing link to my creativity, though. I need it to drive me.
And also, those of you out there in listener or viewer land, we are interested in getting your feedback on the format of what we're doing. We're not going to change the content of it. So if your feedback is it's really boring here when you talk about your stories, well, that's what this is going to be. But let us know if you prefer the video or the audio, because the audio got far more downloads than the video last week. So the video's fun, but if it took an evening to edit and upload, so if you're not bothered about the video, we'll just do it as an audio podcast again. But I quite like doing it as video. So if you like that, let us know. And just if you've got any input on any of the projects that we've talked about last week or this week, we'd love to get your ideas on board. Like with this lazy guide book that I'm going to be writing, feedback from you lot is phenomenal. You're the ones who are going to be buying and reading this stuff. If you've heard him talk about Left Behind and you've immediately got a better reason for them to be leaving the video shop, then throw it at us. We'll happily steal your ideas and sell them. That's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, but I do feel like the bits that were niggling us about that book are sorted. Things like having a bridge into a school that does exist and is in our town, just didn't really sit in a book properly.
It's a year ago. It's almost a year ago exactly that we plotted out the beats for that one, sat on a train. So we've spent a year writing. We're going to be better writers now. We're better storytellers now. So hopefully it'll result in a better book, and a book that can lead to some solid sequels. And I'd love that to be, like we said last week, I'd love Left Behind to be a world that we're churning out books in for the next 10 years, and other people are getting involved in as well. I'd like there to be 10 or 20 books in that series. There's no reason why it couldn't be, because even if all the characters in this one end up dead after 5 books, there's zombies over the whole world.
Yeah, I think that's worth a shot to see, get other people involved in writing in that world, definitely.
Exactly. See you next week, boys and girls.
Have a good week.